Hello. Okay, it's tonight. It is tonight. Sorry, guys. I should have done a better job of getting set up here for you. So tonight, Paul Daley, Michael Venom Page. Good times. We're going to take some Q&A. We are also going to, I don't know why it's got this weird angle. Tell me if this sucks. But, you know, hey, we're doing our best here. How about this? Oh, better? Ish. So, fights tonight. Been analyzing it all week. Oh, thanks. Excited for the live stream. Yeah, we haven't been doing this a lot. A lot of Instagram lately, a lot of 1 minute breakdowns, hundreds of 1 minute breakdowns lately. So that's been where a lot of the time has been. In speaking of which, because of that, I have done at least 4 1 minute breakdowns on Paul Daley and about the same on MVP. So I've looked at these guys quite differently and much more in depth than many of the other fighters I look at. It's very rare that I would do 8 1 minute analysis pieces on 2 fighters in one fight. I've never done that before. So what does that mean? Well, when you do this kind of work, somebody loved the Big Steve breakdown, thank you. When you do this kind of work, you're learning, right? Like, it's not just like, I know a bunch of shit and I'm going to make videos and look how smart I am. The job of analysis is to study and to analyze and to learn, and then you share what you learned. And when you do more of it, you learn more, but you also get more questions. So I think, simply put, we're going to talk about Michael Page versus Paul Daley. We might as well talk about Mr. Haratanov's nut shot from last night at Bellator 215. And then maybe we can touch on Kane and Francis Ngannou a touch, too. I'll be back in Toronto on tomorrow, and I'll be covering that back at the studio in Toronto, TSN. So Michael Venom Page versus Paul Daley. So there's some things that we all really understand now, right? If the screen is what you're seeing, and I'm Paul, I'm trying to distract you, you know? So instead of just you're concerned with, and the screen actually helps this. If you imagine, this is coming towards you, this is coming towards you, this thing is moving, you're trying to clock all of that information. I'll do my best with this analogy. I've been playing around with it. If this instead, the screen is you're driving. Hey, guys. Albuquerque, what up, Isaiah? If the screen is you are driving and you're driving into traffic, cars are coming at you, right? Maybe even they're coming on angles. If you train, you get very good at seeing those cars coming. You can move. It starts to become quite natural. Why do spinning back fists and spinning back kicks work? Because cars rarely just come down from the sky as you're driving, right? You're driving down a highway. You know where the cars are coming from. They're coming straight at you. They might be coming from out here. What if cars started falling down at you from the sky? That's spinning back fists. That's, angled shots. That's weird reverse elbows. That's axe kicks, right? We're taking what we are spending all of our time gauging and processing when we train with our training partners. You're used to seeing the things that you see. Well, now something comes from somewhere else. That's the principle. It's the basic principle is it isn't just a punch or a kick. It's what my eyes and nervous system has been trained to process. Okay, does that make sense? I'm doing my best here. It's still a work in progress to try to find a way to get this. And I see driving in fast traffic as maybe something we can connect to. If all of a sudden cars started coming out of the earth or dropping down from the sky, no driver, regardless of how good they are and how well they've trained, would be prepared for that. So that's what things that we call, eccentric or irregular, any of these things, that's what they are. They're things not just, wow, that kick came from nowhere. I'm not trained to recognize it and process it, and I haven't practiced how to deal with that information. It's like, if you're a hitter, pitches always come like this, doesn't make you better at handling pitches that come from the sky. You haven't trained for it. You're not just how to swing the bat, but you haven't trained to experience it and interpret it. So that's what you're dealing with Mike. Sorry it takes a long time. That's just what it is to try to keep digging. That's what you're experiencing with Mike, is there's a lot of things coming from other angles. It's very irregular, right? It's very irregular. Somebody said Misha Serkinov versus Johnny Walker. I'm glad Misha got a new opponent. Good. I'm good. I'm glad. gyms trained specifically for that selection of strikes? Yes. Do they avoid them mostly to reduce injury? Yeah, spinning back elbows and certain things, we can't train them as much, but you still have to learn where they might come from. Not because you react to things the way you've trained to react. And if you haven't trained to react to weird things, when weird things happen, you will be not prepared with any type of interpretation and action. So that's what you're dealing with Mike. What belt are you in no-gi BJJ? I got a blue belt with a couple stripes a few years back. So Mike's putting things on you. Not just, wow, that might hit me, but it's like, now how do I deal with it? Your brain is trying to interpret the language of what it sees. So so how do you answer that? And Paul has been training the appropriate answer. It's find out what matters. You have to learn to only see what matters. This doesn't matter if it's not dangerous. What matters is where are my feet and where are my weapons and where am I in reality in space. So you have to be able to train to remove a lot of the excess information that's there to distract you. Paul's been doing that. The advantage that Paul has, and I have friends that are like, Paul's just going to starch him, right? Don't you think? And I'm like, it's very difficult to say, right? But what a massive advantage Paul has, and something I learned from, we got some really good questions, guys. Would you re-ask me once I get off this sort of this flow of where we're at? I will try to get to some of them for sure. Is what Mike's trying to do is when I am in balance to fire is when I'm going to hurt you. Paul Daley and others like him. They're in balance. Power is created often by a connection to the ground. So by my feet being attached to the ground can drive my hips and my body, right? But Dwayne Ludwig pointed this out to me very succinctly. Energy is also created through movement, right? Through movement. So the one example he gave me is if I step and punch, although that is a different thing than standing and harvesting the energy to project my body in such a way. That's still energy created. So that's what Mike does. Paul creates energy by being connected to the earth. So I hope you're following me. I'm doing my very best. This is where I work these things out so I can say them succinctly in other places. I appreciate you. Paul is connected to the ground. And in those moments, he connects and explodes. Mike wants to move when Paul is connected to the ground. Because when those moments when Paul has attached to the earth to deliver power, that attachment makes him less mobile. In those moments of he's being attached to the ground, which he wants to do to create power, he's less mobile. Paul is mobile during those times. Here's the problem. So that is how this scenario often works. Forrest Griffin and Anderson Silva, right? Where it's Forrest must attach and power, and Anderson moving and drawing you and connecting energy, you moving forward with him punching, all these things. But Paul doesn't do, Paul's moments of being connected to the earth to create, or to the mat to create power, is so small. That's the specialized, fascinating, athletic platform that Paul Daley has. The moment, and you see it in the one breakdown that I did of Lorenz Larkin, Paul is in this position. To land a left hook, he needs to get both his feet back and his arm back. But he's already got his feet here and his hand here. And literally, this is what he does. Like, he explodes and resets into it. It is a millisecond. And when I broke it down, I kept showing the other guys. I'm like, look at this. I'm moving the thing. Look at this. Look how fast this is. And he's in one position, and he's in another. It's so explosive because of his athletic attributes, but more so because of his training. So he resets into a position he can hurt you in a tenth of the time that most others do. It's amazing, actually. It's amazing. I've studied, the nature of doing this means I have to look at thousands of hours of these over the last 10 years. I've made 1,000 of them. If each one took only 2 or 3 hours, and back in the day, they used to take 10 and 20 hours because that took me a long time to understand how to find the right moments and how to cut them. You have to learn. There was a process of learning. Never seen anybody reset from off balance to in balance faster than Paul Daley. Never, ever. Never. In 1,000 videos, I've never seen anything like it. And that's fucking cool. That's fucking cool, because that's what Mike has to beat. That's what Mike. Somebody says Cro Cop and MVP are sure bets tonight. There's no such thing as sure bets, but Cro Cop has a lot of advantages. I think Paul will use wrestling in this fight to keep MVP off balance, keep him guessing. To wrestle you, I have to grab you, and to grab you, I have to get to you, and that's really hard. I don't think that'll be on the top strategy for Paul. I really don't. Let's take some other questions. I'm sorry it took so long, but if you know me now, and thanks all you guys for being here, then you know that's part of the deal. We're working this out together. MVP is so fast with his hands and feet, I doubt Daley will catch Venom clean. Very possible. And I agree. But what's different about Paul is this little detail I'm talking about, that ability to reset into a position where he can generate power to hurt you faster than other people. Mike is faster at doing the things to make you off balance, and Paul is faster than most at getting back into balance. It's really fucking cool, actually. It's really cool. So let's recap that. Mike is better at getting people off balance because of the way he moves and manipulates than most of the people Paul has ever faced. Paul is faster at getting into the balance necessary to deliver shots with power. He's faster at that than anybody MVP has ever faced, by far. And so which one will work? Who the fuck knows? Here's the one advantage for Paul Daley. He only needs to do that 1 or 2 times because to get into balance to deliver powerful shots on this guy. He only needs to do it 1 or 2 times in 25 minutes. Mike has to play that game to almost a shutout, right? So it's cool. Or he turns Mike off, which he can do. Turns Paul off, just switches him off with a shot, which he can do also. You'd like to see Cro Cop versus Felder again? Me too. Love to see you do your own live commentary on UFC. Separate the UFC similar to a Fight Companion. The issue, I'd love to do that. The issue is that I work those nights usually. What might happen one day is I do a live Facebook stream or something at my job on their platforms. So while I'm in the studio waiting to get ready to do my hit at UFC hit after in SportsCenter or whatever, I can do a live Facebook stream companion piece. So that's possible. MVP explodes into his strikes as well. He does, but he's lighter and faster, and they're such different beasts. That's why it's so cool. They're such different beasts. Both are really special, and both are better than everyone the other ones have faced at the things they need to be to beat each other. It's really cool. A lot of emotions in this fight. Will that have an effect on him? If Paul gets emotional, it can be very bad for him because if he starts overly becoming aggressive, he's trying too hard, then Mike is the most dangerous. From Toronto, way to go. Congrats on the DAZN. But question, do you think Paul will get frustrated and quit? No, I do not. But I think if he gets frustrated, too frustrated, and charges into the bank, it's tough. Paul doesn't need to wrestle, yes. The best takedown is a left hook. It's true. The best way to get a guy down is to punch him until he falls down. That's the best way. Is Ramdeen doing well these days? He is. I'm hoping to commentate BTC in Windsor on March 9th, I think, with him. And then we are commentating TKO in Quebec on March 13th on Fight Pass. What is the circumference of a moose? Now you got me. I can guarantee you won't get laid tonight. Did you get kicked in the groin too? Is that what's happening? What do you think of The Art of Learning? How did it change your life? Yeah, The Art of Learning was a fantastic book. It really was. It's a book written by a chess master who became a kung fu competitor. It's phenomenal. I loved it. MVP counters, times his count as well. His arms, he doesn't have that much more reach, the way they measure reach, than Paul, but when you add it to his legs and his torso, he draws. It's going to be awesome, man. This is a great fight. Can't stay long, but you're the man, Rob. Your philosophies are very abstract but comprehensive. Thanks, Jesse. The best style for something as crazy as MMA. Thanks. Keep up the great work. You have a fan for life. Man, thank you. You don't want to see Fedor again. You're a huge Larkin fan, so it was difficult to see him go down. I did not notice the fast switch of position. If you go to my Instagram, 6 or 7 breakdowns back, it'll be Paul Daley and Larkin, thank you. And it's the fast reset. And as soon as I showed them, and they were in the hall, I'm like, hey, I just made this on you. And he's like, oh, yeah, the reset. We work on that a lot. I'm like, and he says, yes, specifically, they work on it a lot. So, and he's the best, as good as anyone on earth at it. Do you think John Danaher is the best mind in BJJ right now? I don't know about who the other ones are. I haven't been exposed to all of them, but he's brilliant, and I'm a big fan of him, and I find him to be a fascinating mind. Thank you for the stream. Thanks. Fantastic book, yes. You, Connor McInnes said that he's got some issues finding partnership, a female partnership who'd like to spend time with him. That's what he says here. Will the Diaz boys be able to fight in Canada since the law changed? That's a good question. I think the marijuana part, you mean? I don't know. I'd like to see those guys, though. Daley said he hired a point-fighting martial artist to train with, said that it won't be the element of surprise. True. Different, though. Different. But, yes, figuring out, it'll be valuable for sure. Love me your analysis. How do you see the Felder-Vic matchup playing out? Very difficult to say. Paul's very smart. Hopefully he doesn't overthink. But Vic is dangerous and he's different. So you don't want to be overthinking against him. Duke works closely with Paul, and Duke will have taken a look at the roots of what Vic is doing. But I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. Would you consider fighting one last time? I would, but I'm getting... Oh, it's hard to get my body back in shape now. Do you think there's a potential for post-fight antics if Daley loses? Yeah. Yeah, Paul is really emotional. I really like him, though. I like him as a fighter and a martial artist. You ever get super high on weed and watch fights to classical music? Yes. I don't really smoke marijuana now or take almost any kind of intoxicant. It's strange, but I'm just in a different zone right now. But I listen to classical music when I watch all the time. And I'm not, I don't need to, like, argue about such small things. But anytime you hear anyone talking about that I talked about that a lot before anybody did. So I hope that I gave them, that idea when other people do that now. I hope, because it is wonderful. So I would love that were true. What's going on with Zoo for boxing? No idea. I don't know. Fight Joe Rogan. Joe's much bigger than me and a much better martial artist, especially in jiu-jitsu, so that wouldn't go very well. But, you know, the goal would have to be to wade in and try to land straight punches on him. But even then, he's so big and strong, you know. And I've analyzed the way he moves. It would be very difficult. He's a better, more fully formed martial artist. The fact that I've fought a bunch of times would be some value, but I'd be putting my money on Joe if I was an outside viewer with the information that I have. What weight class would you fight again, Robin? I would fight at 145 now, if I did. You don't really smoke it? Somebody said, not much. I don't take a lot of intoxicants anymore. I'm on a different trip right now. Have you ever done DMT? No, but things of that nature in my life. Asked this on your Instagram live feed, but not sure if you answered. What's your go-to recovery after a good workout or training session? Ice cold water is amazing. Liquids, you know. But now, it's weird to admit it, but I can't push as hard as I could when I was younger. It's just true. What else we got? How do you think Stylebender would do against the top 5, excluding Whitaker? Man, that's, you know, the fight before Anderson, he showed that he understood some really important grappling things. He really did. Hello from Greece. He's getting better all the time. I think he's a top 5 guy. I think he can beat some of those guys. I wouldn't like his chances against Chris Weidman right now. But you know, somebody said you need TRT. I'm sure that would make a massive difference. I'm sure it would. I wouldn't rule it out as I get older. Who would you like to see Anderson fight next? I'd like to see Anderson fight whoever he wants. I'm down for any of it. You know, what fight this week needs more attention? I think we're doing pretty good with most of these ones, the big ones. Wouldn't Stylebender versus MVP be beautiful? It would be really cool. It'd be really cool. Are you still doing comedy shows? If so, can you come to England? Yes, I am. I just haven't booked any for a while because I've got so much fight stuff going on. Would you fight CM Punk at a catch weight? Like 160, if he could make it, I'd fight him. It's hard when, if like say 170, I don't even weigh that. A guy would be 190 by fight time. That's painful to get hit by somebody 20 or 30 pounds heavier than you, you know. Somebody said, "Are you Greek? You look Greek." It's like, nope. My mother is Welsh and my father is like French Canadian with like native Canadian mixed in. Robin versus Holloway for the 145 belt. That guy'd have me out of there in a few seconds. What do you think? Celebrity boxing. You versus Brian Callen. It'd be, well, yeah, I'd fight Brian Callen in celebrity boxing. But he's a celebrity, I'm not, so I don't know that that would really happen. Steven said, just kidding, I don't want to see you die. Yeah, Holloway would probably kill me. Is a UFC versus Bellator ever happen like Ryzen? I doubt it. Yeah, UFC's got a lot of structure to the way they like to do things. Love to see a breakdown for Stylebender versus Darren Till. Yeah, that's cool. That is cool. That would be a lot of fun. A lot of outside stuff. Steven said that I would kill Callen. Well, the real fight experience would be very valuable. Everyone here call out Brian Callen. No. He's a celebrity, I'm not. I don't think we can have a celebrity boxing match. But, I mean, he's a really great guy, and he moves really nice. And he's old enough. Thanks, Mason. You're a visionary and a mold breaker, Robin. That's a really kind thing to say. That's a very kind thing to say. If you're not a celebrity, then why do I have a room in my house devoted to Robin Black? Okay, fair enough. Do you think Aldo versus... Aljamain Sterling versus Rivera being on the prelims is weird. How and why they put those things where they put them is based on, you know, metrics and numbers and ratings and attraction and getting things. And, you know, they have all these systems that they believe are things. So they work around that. Max Holloway doesn't get enough props for us. He gets some pretty good... The people who know, man. People who know about Max Holloway know about Max Holloway. All the best, Robin. Everyone in his chat. Unity, peace. Yeah. I must say, people have been very kind to me lately. There's been a lot of positivity. I think you're able to shut out the negativity. Also, people eventually leave. Like, if you don't like a guy who meanders all over having crazy ideas and doesn't follow the structures that people, then you don't watch anymore. So it ends up being very positive over time, which I kind of hoped it would, but people are cool. People are cool. It's been nice. Can I get a shout out for Rashid? Rashid, what up? What belt are you in BJJ, bro? In 2008 or 2007, I got my blue belt, and then I got a couple stripes on it in 2008, and I haven't really worn my gi since then. So I'd like to, though. I'd like to get back and build the structure in, but time is an issue. I got to just make it a priority. Love to see more deep dives about technique and the art of execution and the philosophy of certain techniques. Yes, you got it. What's your opinion on this matchup, the more Dutch-style kickboxing of Daley versus the sport karate? So I think the sport karate stuff, when people would talk about it, they used to say, these guys don't have any power. They just touch. And that was true. That was how it was structured. That's what they did. But if I'm training to avoid you touching me with just a touch and no power, which you can do faster and more sudden and more deceptively, and I can get never hit, that's the power of it. The power of it was what it teaches you to avoid. And where it teaches you to be safe. I think Paul Daley has really been hit hard 5 or 6 times ever in his life. Now, that's not good if you start getting hit, to not have that experience to draw on, but it says he's really hard to touch. So that's the beauty of it. And then Paul connects to the ground much more, and that's where the power of it and the energy is created. But that's also the weakness if somebody's moving their feet a lot. But I talked about it earlier. Paul resets for balance and energy harvesting, or collecting energy from the ground faster than anybody I've ever studied, ever. It's amazing. You think private lessons for BJJ are worth it. Yes, if you have a partner that you really like and they like to come and it's geared at you, they'll make the time for it. Sometimes they'll pay even a quarter of it or something if you find the right person. You're with you on the sober mentality, Robin. Mind-altering chemicals aren't the vibration of cool that everyone believes they are. I think it's a progression we go through. Yeah, I think they are cool for some people. I think opening your mind in different ways, but I've done so much of that that I find that by staying connected for longer periods, I'm able to access deeper ideas. You know, stay connected to an idea for longer. Somebody said, you smoked some weed today. No, we were discussing it. I'm not smoking any weed. I'm not drinking. I'm not consuming almost anything these days. He's going to blow up soon. Askren Khabib, who wins? I don't know. Ben's pretty big. I mean, that's a hard one, to be honest. I haven't seen enough. Have you read the Book of Five Rings? Yes, but it's been a while. So I'm gonna go back and read it. There's so much reading to do. Art of War I've just looked at again recently. Do you think Jessica Penne will bounce back after Andrade, Gianna, and USADA? I don't know. The USADA, when some of these people take a fair bit of drugs, it really affects them. There's a swing back to their bodies after. What fight, if she did take that, but when you have a USADA thing, sometimes that's the issue, right? So what fighter, in your opinion, any fighting company stays true to essence of martial arts the most? You think Senshai or Dominic Cruz? Dominic Cruz is a great martial artist. He's a great martial artist and a good dude and an interesting guy. He would take that as an immense compliment. I don't have the right answer, but I take that as an immense compliment for him, knowing him. That's really cool. But I don't know. That's a great question. Stylebender is a very, very much of a... To me, at this minute, there's many things that make up the essence of martial arts, but at this minute, what I'm thinking of is in a constant state of growth, trying to constantly learn and trying to constantly improve and get better at studying yourself and get better at finding, you know, and Stylebender's like that, but a lot of guys are like that. I'm talking to these young fighters now. I did this week for Bellator, and so many of these young fighters are like growth motivated rather than belt motivated or win motivated even. Hey Robin, would you consider Nick Diaz an offensive grappler? Yes. Yes, I would. There's a lot of these guys that their base philosophy in grappling is rip something off. Matt Serra's game, Renzo Gracie's game up that route, Danaher, you know, it carried all the way down. There's been, when Chris Weidman dove for a knee on Anderson Silva early, that's a point he's making. It's like, I'm coming for things. And even if you are attacking something and you may lose the position for it, fundamentally speaking, a coach will say, don't give up the position. But if and when you do that, you're making a statement that I'm willing to take risks. You better be ready. I'm going to take risks. I'm going to push this hard. So when you break rules like that, the breaking of the rule makes a statement. You know, it adds information. It's like, this guy knows better than to do that. That means he's doing that on purpose. Holy shit. What does that mean? He's coming for me. Like, there's points you can make. Rules are meant to, when they say rules are meant to be broken, exceptions exist for the exceptional. That's the term I like to use. Audiobooks is where it's at. Could we please repeal USADA? Do you think we see a better version of Kane tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, those are interesting type questions. What you're really saying is, make a guess that let's make a guess somehow that we got a feeling about. Fuck, I don't know. You know, did he train harder or less hard? Is he more focused or less focused? Is he angry? Does he need money? Does he just want to prove he's the best? Is he hungry? Is he desperate to experience it again? Like, I don't know any of these answers, and all those answers are really important to know what he's going to be. What do you think of Ferguson? The reason I make these points sometimes is when somebody says, what are we going to see? Who's going to win, Kane or Francis? I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm trying over time to get that. if the default answer is, holy shit, there seems to, if we're being honest, there seems to be no way to answer this question, who's the better grappler, what's this? I'm not trying to say don't ask these questions. I'm trying to over time say, wow, if we just give you an answer, you'll think there's an answer. What Kane are we going to see? A better Kane or a worse Kane? Oh, I think we're going to see a better Kane. He's training out of the American top team. Dan is a champion, 2-division champion. I think we're going to see a highly motivated Kane. I'm just making shit up. And so is everyone who says that. Now, they may not feel like they're fabricating that, but they are. They might just, feel they're doing their job. There could be any reason they're saying that, but it's all nonsense. By saying that's nonsense, it isn't a goal of just, well, what do you want me to ask? I want you to figure out how to get there. This is a process. This isn't I don't want to find the answer for you. I want to find more questions that lead us to deeper places. That's what I'm doing here. The reason that seems weird to some people and they hate it, and I'm okay if they do, is because they see a particular way done all the time when they turn on football or baseball or fighting or whatever. And that way is done because that way is done. I don't want to do that way. I don't know what Cain Velasquez, we will see. Nobody knows. The best part of that conversation will come out if we admit that. Or when we admit that. We have no fucking idea what Cain Velasquez says. That doesn't mean there's nothing to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. What are the things he could be? What are the experiences he may have had? What have other people experienced in that time? There's all things we can study, but yeah, it's a fascinating one for me. The goal is to go deeper and find more and find new questions. The only way to do that is to admit that the old questions are now useless. Is Usman becoming a bully? I thought the backstage footage between him and Askren, I didn't see it. But bad luck if it serves his purpose. The opinions of us don't necessarily have to be a part of a motivation of, somebody going to war or somebody, in a prize fight it's about their family. You can use the fact that this thing that you may choose to do makes you look bad temporarily, but gives you benefit for fight time and for your career. It's okay. Somebody said congratulations on your new gig. Who do you think are the best young, Simon, best young UFC prospects, and who that is champion today that you'll believe will be champion in a year or two? Well, thank you. It's fun. I'm doing some work for DAZN here on the Bellator main event and fights, but they really asked me to dive into this main event a lot. But yeah, young man, there's so many now. This is something that I can offer you that I'm seeing. When I go to commentate the smaller shows now, and there's these great young fighters, coaches will say, I'm telling you, bro, you don't understand. You've never seen anything like this guy. And I'll say, I know. And if I say this to them, and I won't always, I'll say, but I met a kid in Brazil. I'd never seen anything like him before. And then there's 2 kids in Korea right now that I just saw, and nobody's ever seen anything. What I'm saying is not to diminish the young guy that they have or young woman. What I'm saying is there's a new layer. This new crop, they're all better. So the best of all the best are now like your guy or girl. So this one, oh my God, this fighter, and they're all in states of growth still. So the things that they are doing and the way that they're doing it are different ways. So even just to understand what they're doing now is very challenging, and it's exciting. But it makes it difficult to be able to tell who they're going to be. There's 20 brilliant fighters under 25 out there right now, many of whom I've commentated, some of whom TKO has 5, 6 of them. Which one will be the best? I don't know, but I'm sure fucking excited to find out. Do you think Chad's fighting spirit was broken in the Volkanovski fight? I don't know. It's tough, man. Spirit is something, who you are and how much you want to win and how much you want to sacrifice yourself. There's no better or worse. I don't think it's broken. It's just different. We have different reasons to push and pull and how to fight and what to put up with. Do you think there's no such thing as wrestling or boxing because they are sets of ideas and techniques that when combined in fighting are one and the same? Is a fake single leg into, yeah. There's no such thing as anything. Like, Anything we create and say it's a thing is just a made-up bunch of choices and decisions. The fact that, you know, a couple hundred years people would do something, a sport. I mean, is there such thing as soccer? Do you know what I mean? Some people over time made a rule set and they created teams, they created objectives, but they're just made up, you know? Boxing and wrestling are only, you know, in the forms they're in. They go through different forms, but the modern forms might a couple hundred years, sometimes 50, because they used to do it a different way. Football changes, wrestling. You know, the great thing about boxing and wrestling is they've been evolving forever. So all they are is a current state in how combat looks. Boxing itself might make no sense in 20 years or 50 years or 1,000 years. Wrestling itself may behave, you know, a great one example that people use, it's been used in TV commercials and stuff, is people high jumped forward forever until somebody did it backwards. And now that's how you high jump. That's a big, obvious one. But, you know, we might decide boxing is better. You know, wheelchair boxing is going to happen, I believe, at the Paralympics. And we might decide that that's just a better art form. It's more interesting. It's more fascinating. It's a wilder thing to control. And so people who don't, you know, live their lives in wheelchairs may take up that sport. Now, I don't predict that's like so, but that's just the first thing that came to my mind. There's a million things, you know. And the reason that was brought up is Nick Newell brought that up. And when I was chatting with him the other day, he didn't bring up that aspect of it, but he was talking about wrestling and boxing. And boxing in a wheelchair, if that's incredible, I want to try it. Now, I don't live my life in a wheelchair, and if it looked incredible, I would learn it from someone who had. But why wouldn't someone try that? You know what I mean? Hockey was done on a field, and then one day they strapped skates to their feet. Like, everything changes. Everything changes always. Boxing isn't a perfect art form. Wrestling isn't a perfect art form. The javelin isn't a perfect way to do it. It's just how we do it right now. And in 20 years and 500 years, it'll be different. Do you comb your hair with a balloon? That would make sense. I'll try that. No, just chop it all up. I got to get a better haircut one of these years. Party on, Wayne. It's deductive reasoning. Interesting. If we know, all we know is that no one truly knows. Of course, all we know is what we know right now. You know, the best we can explain Anderson Silva fighting style bender is with the words that we have that we agree describe these things. But that's not really what's happening. They are manipulating each other's thoughts through their actions. That's the important part. We just don't know how to really explain that in a way that we agree is worth explaining it. But, you know, when you see a lion tamer, you can see something's happening. Well, instead of a lion and a person, it's two people, but it's the same thing. And how that fight is happening is a big part of everything. You know, the feint isn't about the feint. You know, I decided I used feints really well. Well, I tricked your brain. How did I do it? Why did I do it? How did I learn that it was working? How did I decipher your motion? Did I connect to your rhythm? What part of the brain, how does that work? You know, all of a sudden, guys got the rhythm. Well, what does that really mean? I can't just say, oh, yeah, he's got his rhythm. He's trying to break his rhythm. There it is. It's like, you know, there are drum beats and rhythms through which we move. We always have done that. It's why we play drums when we were tribal, and it's why we go to rock concerts now and stuff. That's all in there. All these things are in there. It's all happening. In 100 years, those might be the things that we talk about because those are the things we understand better. And when we look back, there was a kid I was talking to yesterday, and he said, you know, right there is a camera, but behind that camera is a man. And behind that man is a wall. And behind that wall, it's, you know, and he's, Mike Kimball, he's like 21, he lost last night. Fuck, that's some solid way for a young man to look at the world, you know. I used to feint, he bit, and so I got the takedown. Yeah, okay. I used some type of motion to have his brain read it in a way that it anticipated something to happen. I knew he would anticipate that, and when he did instead, I was prepared to do this. That was trained by doing it this way. All of those things matter because they'll teach us something, right? Bro, is this going to be live? This is live. So I got to go, guys. 40 minutes. Wow, that was a lot of fun. You've been of great service to me. There was some chat talk that I may pop into the Bellator broadcast on DAZN tonight to talk about Daley versus Page. And if we do, I want to talk about that, you know, how he connects to the ground to stay in balance, to hit Mike. Mike's trying to make him out of balance. He gets into balance in those moments where he creates power. Usually, that is so stationary that it makes it easy for Mike to move away from him. But because Paul does that so incredibly quickly, that's a different thing. So I'm going to pull that together. So you guys helped me a great deal with that. But please, it's on DAZN tonight. If you check out DAZN, you'll see a bunch of stuff I did all week long on that platform. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. And then Sunday night, TSN in studio in Canada, Cain Velasquez versus Francis Ngannou. Thanks, guys. I've really enjoyed this, and you were of great help. I can't